then what you want is a safe harbor. And in my opinion, Bitcoin is the safe harbor.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
So I just got back from getting my hair cut, as you can see, and I had talked to my barber a couple of times about Bitcoin and how incredibly high it's going to go in the long term. And he was very interested, so he asked me if I could send him some videos about Bitcoin. So I sent him my full crypto course that really walks you through step by step, how to get involved, how to get started, and that kind of thing. And I also sent him a couple of YouTube videos. Well, today he was very interested, wanted to get started. So I thought, why not help him get started? So I helped him set up a Coinbase account, and I helped him to tie his, finances to it and that kind of thing. But I want to share with you why I think Bitcoin is about to go crazy. It's about to go to the moon, as they say. And there's several reasons for that. So I want to share today just kind of some of the reasons why. Now, I know this is different than what I normally talk about on this channel, but I think it's really a good idea to let people know what I know about Bitcoin and why I believe it is the world's most amazing asset. We call Bitcoin cryptocurrency, and unfortunately, it gets lumped in with all these other cryptocurrencies. But truly, Bitcoin kind of stands above and beyond all other currencies. It's more of an asset, and it's more of the way I was explaining it to my barber. It's more of a way to park your money somewhere where it's going to achieve a much higher return in the long run. It's going to have volatility. It's going to go up and down and that kind of thing. And what I told them is just hang on for dear life. Hold on to the Bitcoin. Just hold it for a long time. Assume you're going to hold it for a long time, and don't be looking at the ups and downs so much, because in any given spike, there's going to be corrections. There's always going to be corrections. But the cool thing about Bitcoin is it has always spiked much further than the corrections. So as long as you understand some of the basics of Bitcoin, such as that it has a finite supply, there's only 21 million coins that will ever be made. And we're already at 19 million coins that have been mined already. And there's an estimate of like 5 million coins that have been completely lost for good. So there's really only about 14 million coins right now in circulation or in people's wallets. And there's a finite amount that's written into the code that Bitcoin was created by. And so because there's a finite amount, everything else is being inflated like crazy. The US dollar is being inflated like crazy. So if you believe that the US dollar will continue to be inflated, that the US dollar will continue to be overspent, that will continue to have trillions and trillions of dollars in deficit spending, then what you want is a safe harbor. And in my opinion, Bitcoin is the safe harbor. This is not financial advice. I'm not intending to give you financial advice. My goal here is just to educate you, the entrepreneur, about Bitcoin if you're not already familiar with it. Most entrepreneurs are. They're already invested. They already know a little bit about it. But I want to share with you some of the reasons why it's about to go to the moon. The number one reason is at the end of January, 9 gigantic financial companies were approved for a spot Bitcoin ETF. And these are companies like BlackRock and Fidelity and VanEck and ARK Invest and things like that. When that happened, that was a tidal shift in the legitimacy of Bitcoin. Suddenly, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States approved 9 spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, a spot Bitcoin ETF, it simply means that for every dollar that's invested in that ETF, that company has to have that amount of Bitcoin backing it up. So there has to be a dollar for dollar backup of that amount of money. Well, what that means is that billions and billions of dollars are suddenly being bought up by these 9 giant companies. And this is happening every day and every week. Ever since these got approved, it's been on a massive run. In fact, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, which is called IBIT, has become the fastest growing ETF ever. Out of all ETFs, there's, I think, something like 400 or something ETFs out there. and this one was one of the fastest growing. So there's one big reason. There are right now billions and billions of dollars going into buy BTC, Bitcoin, and pretty soon, guess what? There won't be any left. There won't be any left to buy. What does that mean? That means that those that hold Bitcoin are going to profit wildly. That's just one of the reasons that Bitcoin is about to go through the moon. Another reason is that entire countries are starting to buy Bitcoin. They're starting to buy Bitcoin for their treasuries. The country of El Salvador recently said that Bitcoin could be one of the currencies that is legal tender in El Salvador. They're making some giant strides in El Salvador. It's been amazing to watch. But other countries are going to be buying Bitcoin for their treasuries, for their investments, for their retirement plans. Cities and states are buying Bitcoin for their retirement plans because Bitcoin has been increasing at crazy amounts. It's going crazy and will continue to. Like, very often we see things like that. We're like, oh, it's at the top. It's not going to go any higher. But for all these reasons that I'm laying out here, it's going to continue to go up. There are institutions, companies, nonprofit organizations that are also buying Bitcoin for their treasuries. One of the notable ones is Michael Saylor, the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy, is buying Bitcoin like crazy. And he's got this, what I call this infinite money glitch that's happening, because as he buys Bitcoin, the value of his company rises. As the value of his company rises, that gives him the ability to borrow more money via bonds that he issues. And he takes that money that's from the bond issuance and he buys more Bitcoin, which increases the value of his company again. Then he issues stock in his company based on the new valuation of his company and buys more Bitcoin with it and continues to repeat the process. And it's an incredible thing to watch. What he's doing there with his company, MicroStrategy. And then, of course, individuals are soon going to be going crazy for Bitcoin. Right now, it's kind of interesting because on the individual side, the sector has been very quiet and there hasn't been a whole lot of excitement yet. But as soon as a few other things happen, guess what? It's going to be a gold rush. So we're here right now before the beginning of the gold rush. We're here right at the perfect time to be carefully looking at Bitcoin as a premier asset, a worldwide asset. And it's truly amazing to see. So I wanted to share some of these things. And I also wanted to share something else that I shared with my barber. And that is, look, don't be emotional when it comes to buying Bitcoin. Try to buy at a low point. Try to buy the dip, they call it. You know, when the market kind of drops a little, that's a good time to buy. But don't be looking at it constantly and get all emotional about it. Like, oh, it shot to 73,000, but now it's at 66. I better sell. I better get out. Like it's a bad investment. Don't do that. What you want to do when it drops like that, and when you think is a good time, buy the dip. What does that mean? That means buy when it's low and just hang on. Just assume that this is a long-term savings account that you cannot get out of. You don't want to get out of it. Just assume that you're going to hold it for a long time. What I was telling my barber is I don't plan to ever sell my Bitcoin because already right now, there are ways to borrow against your Bitcoin if you want to, or if you need to. And so there's no reason to ever sell, right? And the reason I say I'm likely never going to sell is because I want to be in on this gold rush. I want to be in to this asset as it starts to skyrocket and as it starts to moon. It's going to be an incredible, breathtaking time. So I want to have as much of my assets in Bitcoin as possible. I do have other cryptos and things like that, but those are really a very, very small percentage of my portfolio. So just if you do decide to get into it, don't treat it like a stock trade or a commodities trade where you're planning to be in right now and out tomorrow and that kind of thing. Don't treat it like a short-term thing. Treat it like a long-term investment because that's really what it is, and it will serve you really, really nicely. So I wanted to put this out there. I know this is different from what I normally do on my channel, but I'm going to be doing more of these conversational type videos. Let me know if you like this style of video down below in the comments. I'm going to be doing a lot of different types of videos, but this is one that's just because it just happened today. I was talking to my barber. I thought it would be interesting to share my thoughts on Bitcoin. By the way, be sure to subscribe to my free Entrepreneur Newsletter. That's where you're going to get all my latest videos and anything else that comes up in the world of Dave. And that way you'll get that information as well as be entered to win $100, $500 hotel certificates as well. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time on this channel.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.